Out of nowhere, Activision and Infinity Ward have officially announced Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4, locking in an October 23rd release date, but the headline that is absolutely melting the internet right now, it is launching on the Nintendo Switch 2. The campaign is taking us into a terrifyingly plausible scenario, a full-scale invasion of the Korean peninsula. You'll be playing as Private Park, a young South Korean soldier caught right in the absolute chaos of the front line. Meanwhile, half a world away, a rogue outlawed Captain Price is running off the books shadow missions to hunt down a weapon that could break the global balance of power. We're talking trench warfare in Korea, close quarters chaos in New York, and night raids in Paris and Mumbai. But it's the multiplayer overhaul where things get really sweaty. Infinity Ward is completely ditching Bullet Bloom. They've rebuilt the gunplay technology stack from scratch, promising zero guesswork, direct weapon handling, and vastly improved visibility so you can actually see who you're shooting at. On top of that, they're introducing a dynamic map called Kill Block, which physically shifts and reconfigures its layout between rounds, giving you over 500 different tactical combinations in a single match. And for the progression purists, Classic Prestige is officially back. You can choose the traditional route, wiping your loadouts to get an XP boost and rare rewards, or take a flexible, regular Prestige path if you don't want to grind your unlocks all over again. They're also heavily leaning into a living, breathing DMZ extraction mode right at launch. It genuinely feels like Infinity Ward is trying to make a definitive next-level reset for the franchise. But what do you guys think? Are you ready for a darker, bloom-free Call of Duty? And how do you think it's gonna run on the Switch 2? Viractal has been quietly crushing it on Steam with a very positive user rating, developed by the veterans over at Sting, who you might know from cult classics like Yggdra Union. This thing is a brilliant, chaotic fusion of a roguelite deck builder and a digital board game. Think Mario Party meets Slay the Spire, but with a dark fantasy backdrop. You wake up in a dim, candlelit room with a mysterious board game in front of you, and every time you roll the dice, the entire world procedurally generates itself. No two runs are the same, the events are completely randomized, and the strategic depth of building your card deck while navigating a shifting sandbox grid is seriously addictive. But where Viractal really shines and where it's probably going to ruin a few real-life friendships is the online multiplayer. It features something brilliant called the Devil's Whisper Deception System. You can team up with your buddies in co-op to take down massive Awakening Stage bosses, or you can pretend to cooperate while secretly plotting to stab them in the back for extra loot. What makes it incredibly cool from a tech standpoint is how it uses advanced 3D spatial audio and middleware. If you're using voice chat and you trigger a Devil's Whisper contract, the game actually distorts and alters your voice to reflect your betrayal to the rest of the lobby in real time. It's a level of immersion you just don't usually see in this genre. Now, let's talk about the hardware side of this, because the release strategy is a massive sign of where the industry is heading. Japan is getting a full physical release on the Switch 2 for 4,950 yen, while the digital versions will launch simultaneously across both platforms. Interestingly, if you buy the standard Switch version digitally, they are offering a 990 yen Switch 2 upgrade pack. It's an incredibly smart port of a genuinely fantastic game, and September 30th is shaping up to be a big day for board game RPG fans.
Reincarnation of the Luminary.
Now, if you played the original Nintendo Switch port of Dragon Quest XI, you already know it was a total optimization miracle. Getting a massive, gorgeous Unreal Engine 4 game to run portably was an incredible feat, but it definitely came with some noticeable cutbacks to the resolution, lighting, and texture quality. Well, Square Enix just officially announced that the definitive JRPG is making its way natively to the Nintendo Switch 2 on September 24th. And this isn't just a basic, simple re-release, because the Switch 2 packs way more modern hardware under the hood. This specific version is finally bridging the gap between home consoles and handheld play. The developers are targeting a locked, super smooth 60 frames per second alongside vastly enhanced native resolution. We're talking fully restored environmental lighting, crisp textures, and drastically reduced loading times that make exploring the massive world of Erdrea completely seamless. The best part, it retains every single piece of content that made the definitive edition so legendary in the first place. You get the incredible, fully orchestrated symphonic soundtrack, The ability to instantly swap the entire 100-hour adventure into a gorgeous retro 16-bit 2D mode, bonus character-specific side stories, and the ultra-fast battle speed toggle. It is essentially the absolute peak version of a modern masterpiece running smoothly without the compromises of the previous generation. Whether you missed out on the Luminaries journey before, or you're just looking for the ultimate excuse to dive back into a massive, heartwarming turn-based epic on your portable screen, a native performance jump like this makes the September 24th launch highly anticipated. How often do you hear about a Japanese-inspired sci-fi fantasy epic that has been quietly cooking in the background for over a decade? Seattle-based developer Studio Atma just pulled back the curtain on Gravastar, and it is officially slated for the PS5, Xbox Series, PC, and yes, the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, what makes this project instantly eye-catching is the sheer dedication behind it. 10 years in development is an absolute lifetime in this industry. But when you look at the footage, you can immediately see where that time went. Gravastar is going for a very specific flavor of nostalgia, recreating the cozy, beloved JRPG aesthetic of the 16 and 32-bit eras, but giving it a modern high-definition facelift. They are doing this by combining stylistic 3D animation modeled directly after traditional 2D anime styles, completely wrapped in beautiful hand-painted textures. It's vibrant, it's distinct, and it looks like a living illustration as you travel across its 5 sprawling continents, but where things get genuinely wild, and where it completely pivots away from your standard slow-paced RPG, is the combat. They are calling it a conditional turn-based battle system, but it's heavily inspired by 2D arcade fighting games. Instead of just selecting attack from a static menu and watching a passive animation play out, Gravastar implements a fully interactive attack combo input system. To master the flow of battle, you have to memorize your character's unique movesets, stringing together complex button chains, launching enemies, and building massive multi-hit combos to shred through enemy health bars. It's an awesome Twitch reflex twist to a genre that normally lets you take a sip of coffee between turns. Narrative-wise, you play as Baird, an orphan on an exoplanet called Aethera, who violently discovers he's a specter, a rare entity whose powers are literally tied to the stars. You'll be gathering a tight-knit party of 5 playable companions to stop a fanatic zealot from plunging the galaxy into total darkness. What's also incredibly interesting is seeing more and more independent studios like Studio Atma explicitly optimizing and announcing projects with the Switch 2 right out of the gate, proving that next-gen handheld parity is going to be a massive focus moving forward. There's no firm release date locked down just yet, but for a passion project 10 years in the making, Gravastar looks incredibly promising. If you're a fan of indie horror, you probably know that the genre is currently going through a massive renaissance, but every once in a while, a random announcement drops out of nowhere that completely stops you in your tracks. Enter THERMOCLINE. This is a newly announced survival horror RPG coming from developer Decent Treatment and publisher Semicolon, and it looks absolutely wild. The premise is pure sci-fi isolation terror. You play as the lone survivor stranded on a freezing, brutal corpse planet. A raging blizzard is blowing outside, and there are things out there in the shadows that want your warmth, and they are actively trying to suck the literal soul out of you. To survive, you have to explore abandoned alien infrastructure while managing your fuel and body temperature. Think The Thing meets classic survival horror mechanics, but here's where it gets really interesting for the hardcore crowd. The game features tactical turn-based battles, where you have to dismantle terrifying grafted monstrosities, and to make things even crazier, the soundtrack is being handled by Chili Makes Music, the brilliant composer behind Fear and Hunger. If you've ever played Fear Hunger, you know that means the atmosphere is going to be incredibly oppressive, deeply unsettling, and deeply psychological. But honestly, the biggest kicker here, it's going to be 100% free when it hits PC via Steam this winter. No microtransactions, no data tracking. The developers literally said in their press release, "We don't even know how to do that stuff." They are doing it entirely for the love of the art form before bringing it to Switch 2 later. If there's one genre that consistently delivers incredible atmosphere from independent teams, it's the exploration-heavy side-scroller. And developer Soul Brothers, alongside publisher Red Art Games, just dropped a brand new trailer for Maseylia Echoes of the Past. It's a striking 2D Metroidvania that looks like a beautiful, moody mix of Hollow Knight and Ori, but set in a completely unique world. You play as a hooded, antlered traveler exploring the remains of Maseylia, a forgotten ancient land filled with massive, interconnected caverns, overgrown flora, and mysterious glowing ruins. The devs are promising an entirely hand-drawn aesthetic where the environments feel completely alive. Combat looks incredibly snappy, utilizing distinct directional melee strikes, fluid dashes, and a magic system tied directly to the echoes of the world's history. Like any great Metroidvania, exploration is going to be heavily gated by the abilities you uncover. You'll be tracking down lost relics to unlock traversal tools that let you dive into deeper, more hazardous zones of the map. And the boss fights look absolutely massive. We're talking screen-filling entities that will require genuine precision and pattern memorization to overcome. The music in the trailer alone tells you everything you need to know about the vibes. It's serene, isolated, and deeply emotional. Now, if you're a console player, you will have to wait just a little bit longer, while PC players get their hands on it this July. Red Art Games has confirmed that console versions are actively in development for the PS5, Xbox Series, the original Switch, and the Nintendo Switch 2. It's exactly the kind of passion project that thrives on a handheld screen, making those console ports highly anticipated. To wrap up the massive 40th anniversary showcase for the franchise, Square Enix officially dropped the curtain on the next major installment in their beloved creature-collecting spin-off series, Dragon Quest Monsters: The Withered World. In Japan, this is explicitly being billed as Dragon Quest Monsters 4. Now, the teaser trailer was admittedly pretty mysterious, but it dropped a massive bombshell for hardcore fans of the franchise. The game features dual protagonists, and they are none other than child versions of Bianca and Nera from the absolute masterpiece that is Dragon Quest V: Hand of the Heavenly Bride. If you know your history, the monster taming mechanic in this series originally spun out of Dragon Quest V back in 1992, so returning to this specific world and these characters feels like an incredible full-circle homecoming. If you haven't played a Monsters game before, the entire loop revolves around capturing, breeding, and synthesizing an army of classic beasts to do the turn-based fighting for you. While the recent The Dark Prince was exclusive to the original Switch at launch and faced some technical hurdles, the Withered World is being built as a full multi-platform release right out of the gate. Square Enix mentioned they are aiming to get this out before Dragon Quest XII, which means development is moving full steam ahead. There's no firm release date just yet, but the pedigree here is undeniable. Merging the legendary depth of the monster fusion mechanics with the world and lore of Dragon Quest V has the potential to make this an absolute standout for the genre. If you enjoyed the video, do me a huge favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out one of the videos on screen right now. As always, I'm Cyril, big thanks to the community, and I'll see you on the next video.